they've been forgetting. And here's the range of wheels that does just that.
Vern Schuppan was once a forgotten name in the whirlwind of F1, a faint ghost who lurked at the back of the grid, a place where the spotlight never shone. To fans, he was a nobody, crushed by minor technical errors. His name wiped from the stage of legends by the unforgiving hand of fate. Failure clung to him, ridicule weighed him down, and he seemed like nothing more than a pitiable soul, trapped in the shadow of giants. But in that darkness, a defiant flame smoldered. Who could have guessed that from the ashes of a scorned racer? Vern Schuppan would rise, shattering every prejudice to step into a world of spectacular luxury, from the brutal tracks of Le Mans to the legendary finish line at Indianapolis. He not only conquered the podium, but also opened the door to the powerful elite. Multi-million-dollar supercar showrooms bear his name, and his business deals have stunned the world, all a testament to a breathtaking transformation. How did a man once abandoned by F1 and crushed by fate manage to build an enormous fortune and earn the world's respect today? Let's explore the dramatic journey, the breathtaking turns, and the incredible rise of the Australian F1 legend Vern Schuppan, from a dusty garage to a high-speed dream. On March 19, 1943, amid the chaos of a world at war, a boy was born in Boolaroo Centre, South Australia. His parents named him Vern Schuppan, while many kids of his generation grew up with memories of bombs and wartime hardship. Vern's life started in a different, peculiar setting, the sound of hammers hitting metal and the scent of gasoline and oil. Just 4 weeks after his birth, his family moved to Whyalla, where his father opened a small garage. It wasn't a paradise, but it was a true school for a boy who would have speed in his veins. Even before he was old enough to get a driver's license, Vern knew the feeling of his hands trembling on a steering wheel. His father, with the toughness of a mechanic, would let his son sit on his lap while their car raced down dusty red dirt roads. At times, the car would swerve, its tires squealing, kicking up a cloud of dust, while his father calmly corrected the steering. Young Vern would just laugh. It wasn't a game, it was his first lesson in both control and losing it at the same time. While other children dreamed of becoming soccer players or miners like their fathers, Vern was obsessed with Rowley Park Speedway. Every time he went, he'd stand in awe, his eyes glued to the machines that roared like steel beasts. The crowd would cheer, and dust would fly everywhere. But in his heart, he heard a silent calling. This is my world. The climax came in 1955 when Vern witnessed the Australian Grand Prix at Port Wakefield. The roar of the engines that day didn't just shake the ground, it was deeply etched into the mind of a teenager, signaling that his destiny wasn't tied to a small country town, but to the racetracks that made the world turn its head. But his fascination collided with a harsh reality. His grandfather, who knew the price of passion, warned him bluntly, if you go overseas to race, don't expect to come back. Instead of forbidding him, he gave his grandson what seemed like a final test, a rickety old go-kart. Then, something unexpected happened. Instead of giving up, Vern turned it into a weapon. Each small race, each state and national karting championship felt like a proclamation. The road back is burned to ashes. There's only the fire of speed ahead. Vern Schuppan didn't emerge from childhood with hands calloused from hard work like other Whyalla kids. His hands were used to the feel of asphalt, a steering wheel, and a dream that stretched far beyond the country's borders. His story began in that small garage, and it was that very beginning that paved the way for a boy from a remote Australian town to stand on the podium of the world's most brutal racetracks. An F1 outcast turned Le Mans legend. If Vern Schuppan's childhood was fueled by the smell of oil and Whyalla's red dust, his career began with a daring leap. He left Australia with his wife, Jennifer, with a mere 2,000 pounds in his pocket, gambling everything on a racing dream in England. Many people at the time thought it was a crazy decision. How could a go-kart racer from a coastal town break into a world dominated by European aristocrats and giant corporations? Yet, just 1 year later, in 1971, Vern shocked the entire English paddock by winning the Formula Atlantic Championship. From being an unknown foreigner, he became a name that caught the attention of F1 teams. That was when his Formula One dream opened up. But the light of F1 was no paradise. It was a crucible hot enough to burn out even the most brilliant talents. In the mid-1970s, Vern drove for BRM, Ensign, Surtees, and Graham Hill. In total, he participated in 13 Grand Prix, with 9 official starts. The result, 0 points. The bitterness reached its peak when he was disqualified in Sweden in 1974 for starting in the wrong position, and then again in the Netherlands for an illegal tire change. The media at the time showed no mercy, criticizing him as not brave enough for F1. For many, this was the end of the road. But the story wasn't over. When one door closes, another path opens, a path that would later turn Vern into a legend in endurance sports car racing. The turning point came when he partnered with Rothman's Porsche, driving the Porsche 936 and 956 to dominate Le Mans. After several close calls, third in 1975, second in 1907, and 1982, Schuppan finally reached his immortal dream, winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1983 alongside Hurley Haywood and Al Holbert. That victory didn't just take him to the top of the world. It completely erased the label of F1 reject. At Le Mans, he was no longer a failure but a symbol of victory. Not stopping there. That same year, he also won the Japanese Sports Prototype Championship, solidifying his status on both continents. In the United States, Vern's name echoed at the Indianapolis 500. In 1976, he was named Rookie of the Year. And in 1981, he finished third overall, a rare achievement for an Australian driver. In Asia, he twice won the Macau Grand Prix 1974 and 1976, including a victory where he lapped his opponent by 4 laps. And back home, he won the 1976 Rothmans International Series, led the Bathurst 1000 before his car broke down, and finished 5th overall in 1978. Success also opened up bold ventures off the track. In the early 1990s, Vern caused a stir by building the Schuppan 962CR hypercar, based on the Porsche 962 chassis. Its price of over $1.5 million at the time made it one of the most expensive cars in the world. Although the project led to bankruptcy, the remaining 962CRs are now considered collector's treasures. Glory and bitterness were intertwined, but all of it highlighted one thing: Vern Schuppan's career wasn't a smooth road, but a journey of someone who dared to defy fate. From the boy in Whyalla who sat on his father's lap to a Le Mans champion, to the man who dared to inscribe his name on the hood of $1 million hypercar, it was a journey no one could have predicted. And even after retiring from racing, he refused to disappear. He makes appearances at vintage car events, maintains a close relationship with Porsche, and was inducted into the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame in 2017. When $1 million hypercar bears your name, people remember Vern Schuppan as a Le Mans champion, as an Indy 500 driver who reached the podium. But few know that behind the steering wheel lay a world of unbelievable luxury. These aren't Hollywood fictions, but the reality of the assets, supercars, and personal marks that made him one of the few Australian drivers to become an icon. Let's start with the vintage car he cherishes as a part of his memory, a turquoise Talbot Lago T26C. This was the car driven by the legend Doug Whiteford to win the Australian Grand Prix in the late 1940s, the very model Vern first saw at the age of 12 in Port Wakefield. Decades later, Schuppan bought it back, as if he wanted to hold on to that childhood moment. Interestingly, despite promising his wife he'd just keep it as a keepsake, he secretly drove it at classic racing events in Malala and Phillip Island, even getting a podium finish in a historical racing group in 2018. The man once scorned in F1 was now writing a historical legacy that most people only dreamed of seeing. But what truly stunned the world was the Schuppan 962CR hypercar, one of the most expensive street-legal cars on the planet in the early 1990s, based on the Porsche 962 platform that helped him win Le Mans. This car featured a carbon chassis, a twin-turbo engine with over 600 horsepower, a top speed of 230 mph, 370 km/h, and a price tag of over $1.5 million at the time. While other drivers spent their money on mansions or yachts, Schuppan chose to have his name engraved right on the hood, turning a dream into steel. Carbon fiber, and a roaring engine. Only 6 were ever produced. And today, whenever one appears at an auction, it instantly becomes a coveted treasure for collectors. It's proof that luxury isn't just about money, it's about turning your name into a legend. In his home state of South Australia, his name is also tied to real estate. In Waialanori, a street is named Vern Schuppan Drive, proof that his legacy exists not just in museums or on racetracks, but in the everyday life of the community. On this street, houses and plots of land are bought and sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, all associated with a name once cast aside by F1. Vern's lifestyle also reflects a strange contrast, both luxurious and down-to-earth. He owned automotive treasures that the wealthy only dreamed of. Yet he and his wife, Jennifer, chose to live in a converted warehouse in Adelaide, right next to the former Australian Grand Prix F1 circuit. It wasn't a glittering Beverly Hills mansion, but a way of saying, this is my domain, where the sound of the engine echoes as part of my very being. Schuppan's wealth isn't just material value, it's symbolic, from a vintage car that preserves his childhood, to the 962 CR hypercar that challenged Ferrari and Lamborghini, to the street named after him in his hometown. All of these compose a distinct portrait, a man once underestimated by F1, who lived a life more luxurious than those who stood on the F1 championship podium. And the question still hangs in the air, was that luxury just a facade to hide the bitterness of his career? Or was it proof that Vern Schuppan found a way to define victory on his own terms? A marriage vow more enduring than a racetrack. Amid countless fateful turns, there was one most important one in Vern Schuppan's life. It wasn't on the Le Mans or Indianapolis track, but in his home state of South Australia. In 1907, Vern married Jennifer, a girl from his neighborhood. It was a simple marriage that became the most powerful engine, helping him get through what seemed like impossible years. Right after the wedding, the couple made a bold decision to leave Australia for England, with all their savings, 2,000 and a dramatic promise, 2 years to succeed. Or we'll come back. It wasn't just an agreement between a husband and wife, but a contract with fate. Many people laughed, thinking they were chasing a pipe dream. But Jennifer wasn't the kind of woman who stood in the background. She was a partner, sharing every step of the journey, every frugal meal in their temporary rented rooms in England, while her husband threw himself into life or death races. Jennifer's presence transformed Vern from a lonely racer into a warrior with a strong support system. When he faced repeated failures in Formula One, getting disqualified in Sweden and in the Netherlands, Jennifer was still there, quietly in the spectator stands, as if challenging the world. He's not finished yet. And she was right. A few years later, Vern stood on the Le Mans podium. That victory wasn't just his alone, it was theirs. The most beautiful image isn't the gleaming silver trophy from Le Mans in 1983, but the current scene over 45 years after their wedding. Vern and Jennifer still live together in Adelaide, in a converted warehouse right next to the former Australian Grand Prix F1 circuit. Amid so many luxurious options, they chose a place where, when they open the window, the echo of engines reminds them that their love is bound by speed and passion. In Waiala, a street is named Vern Schuppan Drive in his honor. But for Vern, the true honor isn't in the street sign, but in having Jennifer by his side. From the days of eating instant noodles in London to standing together next to million-dollar hypercars. Their love isn't flashy or loud. It's like a durable car that withstands storms. Sometimes it rattles. Sometimes it gets scratched, but it never stops. That is Vern Schuppan's true emotional legacy, a legend not just on the racetrack, but in his journey of keeping a lifelong promise. Scandals that turn glory into scar. Every legend has its dark spots. For Vern Schuppan, the glory at Le Mans or the podium at Indianapolis is only half the story. The other half, full of grit and controversy, lies in the disputes and fractures that once shook his career. In the world of Formula One, where everything is decided in milliseconds, Schuppan experienced the most brutal side of the sport. In 1974 at the Swedish Grand Prix, he was disqualified for a misplaced start, a seemingly minor mistake, but enough for the press to dissect without mercy. Just weeks later, at the Dutch Grand Prix, the tragedy repeated itself when he was again disqualified for changing tires outside the pit area, for a driver struggling to find his footing. Being publicly blacklisted twice was like having the mark of not good enough stamped directly onto his career file. The blow was even heavier when Schuppan joined the Surtees team. The team owner, former champion John Surtees, was known for being authoritarian. Vern was once outspoken, saying he was never given an equal opportunity while his teammate, Vittorio Brambilla, got a better car. He had to struggle with an unstable vehicle. The media at the time painted a picture of a disgruntled, difficult to work with Schuppan, even though it was just a complaint from a driver cornered in a weak position. It left a scar in his relationship with F1, a world where reputations sometimes mattered more than speed. Off the track, Schuppan created another sensation with his Schuppan 962CR hypercar project. Technically, it was a marvel, a carbon chassis, a turbocharged Porsche engine, and a price tag of over $1.5 million. Though expensive, it surpassed Ferrari and Lamborghini at the time. But the dream turned into a nightmare when the Japanese economy crashed. Investors pulled out, and the project went bankrupt. To many, Schuppan was seen as a wildly overambitious driver who put his name on a financial adventure that was beyond his means. But perhaps the biggest controversy lay in the very contradiction of his public image. On forums, there were whispers that the sale of a car once owned by Steve McQueen earned Schuppan millions of dollars. A man who was often described as humble and living a simple life in a converted Adelaide warehouse was suddenly linked to the image of an underground wealthy collector who owned mechanical treasures rarely seen by the public. This made him an unpredictable character on one hand, a symbol of a diligent racer, and on the other, surrounded by rumors of hidden wealth. The motorsport world has never been quick to forgive. Mistakes, conflicts, and commercial failures can all bury a career. But Vern Schuppan proved one thing: scandal can tarnish your name temporarily, but your true legacy is determined by how you get up after each fall. And he got up, not just with a victory, but with his own proud existence to this day. A legacy not just etched on a silver trophy. If you only look at the record book, you'll see a series of shining milestones: winning Le Mans in 1983 Rookie of the Year, at the 1976 Indianapolis 500, third place at Indy in 1981, twice winning the Macau Grand Prix, and championships in the Japanese Sports Prototype Championship in the Rothmans International Series. But numbers, silver cups, or laurels aren't enough to tell the whole story. For Vern Schuppan, his achievements weren't just about speed, but about how he turned his career into a legacy, leaving an imprint beyond the racetrack. At Le Mans, he suffered 3 bitter failures: third in 1975, second in 1997, and 1982, before reaching glory in 1983 in a Porsche 956. That victory didn't just place him among the legends of endurance racing, it put Australia on the global motorsport map. In the US, he was a rare icon from the Asia-Pacific region to leave a deep impression at the Indy 500, a stage often dominated by Americans. In Asia, he conquered Macau with 2 victories, one of which was with an unprecedented lead of 4 laps. But what's even more remarkable is how he used his reputation to contribute to the community. After retiring, Schuppan didn't disappear from the sports scene. He participated in numerous vintage car events and motorsport festivals in Adelaide, helping to nurture a passion for the next generation. In the 1980s, he also played a crucial role in bringing Formula One to Adelaide, using his personal relationship with Bernie Ecclestone. It was not only a turning point for F1, but a boost that made South Australia a national motorsport hub for a decade. Official recognition came in 1984 when he was awarded the Order of Australia AM, one of the country's highest honors for his contributions to motor racing, more than 3 decades later. In 2017, he was inducted into the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame, a mark that confirms his timeless legacy. Additionally, Schuppan has dedicated himself to community work and encouraging young people. He's participated in mentoring programs, co-owned an Indy Lights team, and supported racer Scott Dixon's career in his early years. Though the partnership wasn't perfect, it showed Schuppan's desire to use his experience and connections to pave the way for the younger generation. In his hometown of Whyalla, a street is named after him, Vern Schuppan Drive, as a tribute and source of inspiration. Notably, unlike many racers who kept the spotlight for themselves, Schuppan chose to share it. From speaking at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival 2025, where he recounts his memories with a restored McLaren Indy car, to appearing in Porsche's 70 Years Porsche People documentary series. He continues to act as a storyteller for history, helping today's audience understand the brutal but glorious years. A living icon who defies time. Some racers, when they leave the cockpit, see their glory fade. But Vern Schuppan is different. At 82 years old, he's still there amid the metal machines that made his name not as a retiree but as a living witness to an entire era of speed. In recent years, he has regularly appeared at vintage car events and motorsport festivals. The 2025 Adelaide Motorsport Festival saw Schuppan alongside a restored McLaren M24B Indy car, sharing the journey the car took at Indianapolis. The crowd didn't just applaud the car, but the man himself, a person of flesh and blood, recounting a story that seemed to exist only in history books. Porsche, the car company that took him to the top of Le Mans, still considers Schuppan a part of the family. In 2021, in the 70 Years Porsche People film series, his name was mentioned as a testament to Porsche's global legacy. This hints at a future Schuppan will always have a place in celebrations, in commemorative films, and in every story Porsche tells about its immortal days at Le Mans. In his home state of South Australia, he and his wife Jennifer live in a converted warehouse in Adelaide, right next to the former Australian Grand Prix F1 circuit. It's a choice that's both simple and symbolic every morning. When he opens the window, he hears the distant echo of engines, a reminder that he never truly left this world. And in Waialanori, the street named Vern Schuppan Drive is proof that his legacy is not just in a silver cup, but is woven into the community's daily life. Schuppan's future is no longer a race against the clock or opponents, but a race against memory. He will continue to be an unofficial ambassador for Australian motorsport, appearing at events, talking with the younger generation, and reminding them that speed was once defined by bravery more than by technology. With vintage cars like the Talbot Lago T26C or rare hypercars like the Schuppan 962CR, he will continue to be present at exhibitions, so audiences can see firsthand that history is not just for reading, but for touching. And when people ask, what will Vern Schuppan's future be like? The real answer isn't in his plans or projects, but in his very existence. As long as he keeps appearing, as long as he stands next to the machines that put him in the history books, Schuppan will be a part of the future of motorsport, a future where legend and present intersect, and where legacy continues to live on with time. Vern Schuppan's story is not just a journey from a boy in Waiala to a Le Mans champion. It's proof that failure doesn't bury a person, but can become the very material for building a legacy. Scorned in F1, disqualified from races for technical errors, and even bankrupted by an overly ambitious hypercar dream, all of it only clarifies one thing true. Strength lies in the ability to get up and break through. In love, he stayed with Jennifer for life. In his career, he left his mark on 3 continents. In his life, he chose a simple existence but kept his name on streets, at festivals, and on immortal cars. And there, we see the biggest lesson: success isn't measured by the number of trophies won, but by how you turn both victories and failures into a part of your legacy. If there's one thing to take away from Schuppan's life, it's this: let your life resonate like the sound of an engine, sometimes roaring, sometimes faltering, but always moving forward, never cutting out before the finish line. We are not responsible if you misunderstand or misapply this content. Please use your own judgment, verify, and absorb it selectively. If you like it, leave a like, comment, share, or subscribe to the channel. It's the fuel that keeps us telling more top-tier stories about other F1 superstars.